Good morning and possibly afternoon for some of you folks. This is Claudia with Work Truck Solutions. I am the marketing coordinator over here. Today, myself and Joe Koshak are going to be going through some awesome questions that Bill McDowell, who is on the line, submitted to us about using social media for business. So Bill, I just wanted to give you a quick shout out and thank you so much for submitting those questions. Your shirt is on your way to you. Should be there in the next week or so. So keep your eye out for that. Anyone else who would like to submit a webinar topic, if we use it anytime throughout this year, we will send you a Work Truck Solutions baseball tee that has those wireframe work trucks on it. It's pretty awesome. For those of you who are at NTEA, I see Michael Sweets on here and a few other people who also got some shirts. We'd love to see you rocking those, so if you could send us a picture of you and your team in those shirts, we would love to post those on Facebook and share them with our group here. They'd love to see you. So if you can send those over to us, we would absolutely love that. So I see that quite a few people are still logging in, so we're just going to give them a couple minutes. But in the meantime, just a couple housekeeping things. I know I say this every single time, so for some of you who are on often, you'll hear me repeat myself. Some folks are new, so there is a question box over in your control panel. Please feel free to type questions at any time. We will have a question and answer session at the end of the presentation, but again, feel free to type at any time, and if it's relevant to what we're talking about in that moment, we'll go ahead and stop and answer the question right then and there. Let's see, it looks like someone's already... Oh, thank you, Michael. He's with Bob Hook over in Georgia, Florida area? Kentucky. Oh my gosh, I was totally off, but kind of in the same area. It was so good to talk to you guys at NTEA last week. What a week it was. I mean, I'm sure that most of you are still recovering from all the walking that we all did. Oh, but yes, okay, so back to the questions. Type questions at any time. Sorry, I'm getting a little distracted here. All right, so our agenda today, we're going to go through a few different topics all around using social media for business. So first, we're going to talk about getting started with social media marketing, some best practices, and then really dive into the paid advertising portion. And like I said, we'll have that question and answer session at the end, and then just a couple closing statements or reminders. Joe, is there anything you want to say before we go ahead and dive into it?
No, you're breaking up just a little bit.
Uh-oh. You hear me better now?
You're good.
Okay.
All right.
Maybe it was all my laughter that I was doing. I was just getting too caught up in things. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started then.
All right. So, Claudia, I'm just going to throw some questions at you here and let you do what you do best.
All right.
How do I participate in social media advertising if my dealership is not?
So like I mentioned earlier, all these questions came directly from Bill McDowell at Midway Chevrolet. So we're just going to go through and answer these. So how do I participate in social media advertising if my dealership isn't? That's such a great question. I want to first start with talking about how to build your brand and your goals with social media. So to create your brand, I mean, it's pretty simple for you guys. You have to start by building your own Facebook page. We have some dealers who use social media marketing for their commercial departments by using their retail Facebook page. However, I highly suggest doing like what McGrath's Fleet Commercial do. We have some other folks like Paradise Chevrolet, Joe Basil over on the East Coast who also have their specific fleet and commercial pages. I definitely recommend doing that for you. Building your brand is going to be very simple because you already have all of the logos made. You have photos that are available to you, whether that's from your OEM asset pages or photos of the vehicles on your lot. So make sure that it's unique to you. You don't want to flood your followers with, the retail information, the retail photos. So this is kind of the easy part. You can have a lot of fun with this and just make sure that it really reflects the brand that you want to portray and the services that you offer to your customers. So a few questions to ask yourself is what kind of content do you need to be producing? What kind of tone, style, and delivery strategy will your customers respond best to? And if you don't know, what's great about social media is you can actually ask them. That's the social part of this all, is you can reach out to your followers and see what they're interested in. And then you can start posting and seeing what's working and what's not.
Super. Can you pinpoint some specific target areas?
Yes, and let's go into how to define this. So who is your target audience? Again, it's always great to start with questions. So what challenges or pain points do they face, and how can you help them? We all know that in our industry, we are business to business. So you guys are selling to other business customers. It's kind of funny because I always tell people who ask us about what we do, I say it's very similar to what you do in terms of marketing and selling, because we're just trying to build up those relationships and see how we can solve your problems to make your life easier in the business world. So, you know, time is money. What can you do to help them save time? What upfits are going to help specific vocations? You guys are the experts here. You know how to find that information out. You know your customers. A lot of you have been in this business for 10 plus years. And if you haven't been in the business for that long, I highly suggest reaching out to the folks that have, because they're going to be able to guide you and tell you, you know, what's working and what doesn't, just from their experience in speaking with the different vocational folks. What do they care about? So you have to know what the topics of interest are. What's going on in their industry? I know that a lot of you are part of professional associations, so attending those meetings are going to keep you up to date on what's trending in specific vocational industries, whether that be construction or plumbing, electrician, all of those kinds of things. You need to be up to date on current events, current issues that are going on, all of that stuff, because if you know that stuff, then you can be the expert and provide them with information that's going to help them be more efficient and just do a better job at what they do every day. So also products of interest. Some really great posts that I'm seeing on some of our customers' Facebook pages are walk-around videos. It can give them a more interactive way of seeing the functional details and how those vehicles will impact their work days. For example, will they be able to access their tools easier by adding certain bin packages to cargo vans? You know, you guys know all of this stuff. It's just figuring out how to put that out there in an attractive way, and video is a really great way to do that. And finally, where are they consuming the content? You know, we have lived in an area where it went from print to computers to now mobile phones. Everyone has access to things right away. You also have to pay attention to what channels your audience is going to be on. Are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? You need to focus on the most impactful channels and consider what they are using to view the content, because those things will make an impact. If you're running an ad, you need to know what does it look like on a mobile phone versus a desktop. All of these things are so important. When they go online, you know, what time are they viewing things? That way you can schedule your posts so that they arrive right there in their newsfeed when they're looking at those specific times. And when it comes to paid ads and audiences, there are ways you can target down to pinpoints of latitude and longitude, which is kind of funny, but really useful. And we're going to get into that a little bit later when I talk about the paid ads.
Super. So I'm assuming there's some do's and don'ts. You want to talk about those?
Yes, absolutely. So the list of do's is a little bit shorter than the list of don'ts. So let's talk about the do's first. Social media is, you know, all of the platforms are for communication and interaction with your followers. Make them feel special, you know, highlight your customers. Give them valuable information and content, and be patient. It does take a little bit of time to build up a following. So by producing that valuable information, by having your customers like your Facebook page upon purchasing, you know, you can run a whole campaign that promotes your Facebook page. And if you are using Work Truck Solution services, we can actually link your Facebook page to your Work Truck Solution site so that you can start posting directly from there. There's lots of good things you can do with social media, but then there's also some bad things you can do for social media. You don't want to spam your followers with tons of information, a lot of copy. It just gets lost. You know, one example, there's a lot of reviews that happen on social media, and a lot of people feel more confident behind a screen to give you bad news versus good news. So if you get a bad review or someone responds negatively to one of your posts, you got to make that judgment call for your business, or maybe ask your general manager what the best approach is to face negative situations. It's seen all of the time. Not so much in our industry because we build those relationships so strongly before a purchase is generally made, but it still can happen. We actually had a situation on our own page where we made a post about one of our customers, and someone commented on it attacking our customer. And rather than responding angrily or making the situation worse, we actually took it offline, so to speak, and took a stand to reflect positively on both our customer and ourselves as a business, and completely avoided further contact. We reached out to the person and said, I understand your feelings, we hear you, but we have no association with your comment. We will be removing the comment because it has nothing to do with us. And, that's okay sometimes. You are in the business of building and maintaining relationships, and that doesn't end once you're on social media. And if anything, it actually increases it and becomes more powerful. So just keep that in mind with things that come. Value is the key here. You don't want to just be throwing stuff out there. You want it to be valuable. You want it to be helpful. And we'll get into that a little bit more here.
All right. Is there any type of template we can use to get this started?
Not exactly, but there's so many great examples for you to follow online. I would even suggest reaching out to fellow dealerships who do have a strong presence on social media and ask them what they are seeing work and what doesn't work. Generally, you want to post things that pique interest, make your followers feel happy, and all that good stuff. I highly recommend photos and videos because they do get the top views and most engagement. But here's a few examples I wanted to touch on real quick. So this is one from Napa. Actually, they posted this at the work show last week, and you can see how interactive it is. They're asking people to cast their vote, so they're having people comment, they're having people like their posts, and I think this is extremely impactful. They keep the text very short and sweet. They tag the event that they're at so that if other people are at the event, they can come check them out. They're showing off 2 different products. All of it is just really good here. Here's another upfitter. So this is Sortimo. They do, van packages. So here's another really good interactive post that's actually giving something away to their customers or their followers. Post a picture of how you have your van upfitted, the Sortimo package, and you get the chance to win a $50 gift voucher to upfit your package. I think this is amazing. And you guys have so much to be able to play around with and do these kinds of things. I know that you guys give away things all of the time or have special events that you have going on, whether it's a golf tournament or just at your dealership. Things like this is perfect for you. The only thing I would say here is there is a little too much text with have the little dot, please see more. You don't really want to do that unless you absolutely have to. But the good thing is they do have all the important information right there, and then they also repeat the important information on the image itself without making it too crowded. And then one more thing, I'm using the graph again because they do a really great job. Not only are they showing off the vehicles that they have upfitted on their lot, as well as one of their team members, but they're also shouting out to one of their partners here and how they're going to be using. I think that this is absolutely amazing. You guys can do this left and right. Show off your customers, your customers' businesses. If you have a florist, for example, who is doing Mother's Day flower arrangements at a discounted price, I would absolutely show that off for them. Not only is it going to help you build up that relationship with your customer and partner, but it's going to help the community come together and purchase locally from those businesses as well.
Super. So, Claudia, what frequency is the most effective?
That is such a good question, and it's different on every platform, but you got to remember that it's quality over quantity. I'm going to give a quick shout out to Will Brogan at Commercial Truck Training because in their boot camps, he makes a really good point that not all best practices that they put out online for the different platforms apply to the commercial industry. You don't want to just post on a daily basis. You want to be thoughtful when you're posting things. So you got to ask yourself a couple questions. Am I giving valuable information to my followers? how is this going to benefit my followers? And most importantly for you, how is this going to benefit my business? And sometimes it's okay to be fun and silly. You know, we're all professionals here, and our customers are also professionals, but everyone needs a break from that once in a while. And that's kind of what you can use your social platform for, you know. Post important information, absolutely. But then, you know, maybe once a week or, you know, in between a couple different posts, post a funny video of your team. If you see some interesting or funky upfit vehicle or a funny meme that applies to commercial or specific location, then I definitely recommend sharing that. You're going to give your followers a good laugh. It's going to show that your business is, you know, human and lighthearted, and that people can not only have a serious conversation with you because you're sharing important information with them, but then they can also have fun with you and, you know, be at those golf tournaments and have a blast with you, or come to that barbecue and have a lot of fun. The one piece of advice I can give is the more interactive the post, the better, like those posts I just show you. So get your followers involved and make them feel recognized and special. Don't post too much, because if you do have a very important post that someone's going back to follow, they don't want to have to scroll through your page with a bunch of information on it. Just post what's relevant and what's important.
Super. That makes perfect sense. So what does it take to be a trendsetter instead of a follower?
I love this question. And, you know, I have a picture here of different gummy bears, and there's only one that's different. And so I would just say try new things. Don't be afraid to be different, and do a little bit of research. You know, commercial is an industry that has stayed the same for years and years. I don't have to be the first to tell you that. I'm sure that most of you already know that and have seen a lot of changes, but have seen a lot of things stay the same. So I would look at different industries, to be honest, and see what are they doing that really sets them apart, what makes them stand out, and see how you can apply that to the commercial industry. I don't necessarily have any examples here, but, you know, I see a lot of advertisements out there, and even just, you know, marketing collateral that's just so full of noise and busyness, and that's so true in the commercial industry. And I think that keeping things simple and clean and straightforward is going to be very helpful to you. I don't think that that's done enough in this industry. So, you know, posting a very compelling photo of a vehicle with, you know, a strong tagline on it, it's going to help you. Be creative. Don't be afraid to take risks. That's the best thing I can give you for this answer.
Perfect. Perfect. How much do I need to spend to make it effective?
I love this question. So people think the more you spend, the more results you're going to get. And this is a perfect segue to dig into the paid advertising. Results are in the numbers. You know, you have to start small and grow big. You can't just start using the paid advertising tools right away. You have to learn the different platforms that you're on. You have to have a following, and then you can start taking advantage of the tools available to you. Sorry about that. You know, it's not about how much you spend, but the combination of the quality, the strategy, and the details you put into the ad themselves. And you have to start that by figuring out, okay, who am I targeting here, and what is the goal and outcome I'm looking to achieve? There are so many different things you can do with paid advertising. Whether you want to build a following on your page, or you're trying to sell something, or you're just trying to increase your site traffic, all of these things will have different audiences entail. And like I said earlier, Facebook specifically has incredible audience targeting tools available to you. And it does take some time and it takes some thought to put into it. That's where the quality comes in. But it's actually very easy to be able to use and figure out once you're in there. There's tons of video tutorials to show you how to do that, as well as, you know, step-by-step walkthroughs of how to do that as well. I actually have a couple different stories that talk about it. I actually worked with a dealer who was spending thousands in advertising on Facebook, but their analytics were showing that their money wasn't really being put to good use. So we worked with them for a couple months. We analyzed their data, and we developed a plan to target specific audiences. And we actually just the copy that was in their ads. We made it short and sweet and to the point to help not only spend but get better results in the end. And it worked. We were able to cut their budget incredibly. they're seeing better and better results. On the flip side, I started working with a dealer who hadn't done any Facebook advertising on the commercial side of things, and they have a very relatively low budget compared to my other customer for the ads they run. But the quality of the highly targeted audiences has helped them gain traction by opening.
Oh, Claudia, you're breaking up again.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
No, you're real digital. I apologize.
How about now? Can you hear me?
There you are.
Okay,
Welcome
good. Sorry about that, you guys. Gotta love technology, right?
It happens for sure.
Exactly. So what I was saying is we, had a lower spend, but we targeted the audience very closely, and we gained their traction by increasing their traffic to their online site by over 200%. And they were able to sell 3 out of the about 10 trucks that we featured in just a 2-week span. And although we can't really tie those sales directly to the ads themselves, the increase in recognition, is going to pay off for itself in the end because of the amount of buyers they're going to be attracting to them.
Super. Is advertising online more effective than going out and knocking on doors?
That was probably one of the toughest questions I've had to answer. And I can't tell you whether it is more or less effective because every business is different, even in commercial vehicle sales. The only thing that I can say is powerful about the paid advertising is the data that can be shown that can't otherwise be collected when physically searching for prospects and knocking on doors. The profit is really in the numbers. If you're not using the data available to you, then I would not suggest getting involved with the social media paid advertising. You can ask my dealer partners, the ones that I was just talking about, how much I love to, report back on their results using the analytics I have available. Plus, there's also a story to be told and the results to be reviewed with every paid marketing resource that goes out, especially when it's digital. Like I said earlier, you got to start small, grow your budget in accordance to what you're seeing for your results. I would definitely suggest starting with about $100 ad spend and run the targeted ad for about 2 weeks, while you're monitoring the results as they come in. How many people did your ad reach? Were those people qualified buyers that would actually purchase one of those vehicles? Or, was it just a fluke and was the audience building just not really there? Where were your viewers located? Was the target close enough to actually buy the vehicle directly from you? Or were you advertising, across the nation or across the world where it might not even be completely effective? I can go on and on about this, but the point of it all is you don't need to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on ads. If you have a good plan and take the time to build your audiences correctly and target it enough, you will get positive results and get a great return on your investment.
Super. So Facebook's obviously a great resource. What other than Facebook is effective?
So there are so many paid ad opportunities, but with our unique industry and target market, I wouldn't want to extend past Facebook until adoption of other platforms is higher. Something to keep an eye out for would be Instagram advertising. As younger generations move into decision-making roles, you're going to see more and more visual social platforms being utilized. However, they are still building up their analytics and have been retail-focused, so I would wait until there are more best practices and information on those different platforms. That way you're getting, the best bang for your buck as well as the time you're putting into it. One other area that I'm not as much of an expert in, but I would love to recommend looking into would be Google AdWords. The platform itself is pretty explanatory, but it is a good way to move your site up on the Google search. So if people are searching for service bodies in Louisville, Kentucky, and you have the Google AdWords for that, then your site is going to be moved up there, and the interested buyers are actually going to go to your site versus your competitor's site. So I'm just going to wrap it up at that and open it up for questions from the folks online. Joe, is there anything that you would like to add to anything that I said?
No, I think you've pretty much covered it all. That's awesome. Some great information here that I didn't even know.
Thank you. So let's open it up for questions. I think we have one here.
We have one, yes. What about LinkedIn? I feel the right people are on there to reach, but don't respond to messages often. What's the best way to contact them?
That is a really, really good question. And, I love LinkedIn for my personal use, and I'm sure that that's how most of you guys use it. We do have a business page, but I'm honestly a little bit disappointed in the way that LinkedIn does advertising for businesses. It's pretty expensive, and the amount of reach is not as good or as qualified as I would hope it would be. And LinkedIn is one of those funny ones. Everyone has a LinkedIn, but not everyone remembers to check it all of the time. So I would just say, keep up with your searching on that. I'm using Will Brogan again. He gives a great presentation at the boot camps about social media. A little trick that he does is he actually goes and looks at the profiles of folks that he's interested in. That way they'll get a notification that someone looked at their profile, and then eventually they might just want to connect with you, or they might send you a message and say, hey, I saw you looked at my profile, what's going on? Or then that gives you the opportunity to say, oh, look, they looked at my profile back. Now I can send them a message because you know that they're active. If there's no response, then, maybe they're just not very active on LinkedIn. I think that it's just going to vary, and I think that the more LinkedIn builds up their platform, the better it's going to be to use. But for right now, I would definitely not burn too many calories on that one.
Perfect. And we were asked by Deborah, will there be notes handy afterwards? Been tied up helping with an event. Deborah, yes, we're recording this today, and it will be sent out to all of you by tomorrow. Correct, Claudia?
Yes, absolutely. It will be in your inboxes tomorrow.
Perfect. Any other questions from anybody out there on social media or helping grow your commercial business through social media?
And just so you guys know, we're actually in the process of building up oh my gosh, if I could talk, I'm so sorry. We are in the process of building up a service for you guys to be able to help you with your social media advertising. Currently, it's in the beta phases, but if you're interested in learning more about it, please feel free to reach out to myself or your dealer success coach about how you can learn more, or see if you kind of qualify for that beta testing, or we can even reach out to you right when we're ready to really start launching it.
Super. For paid Facebook ad, what parameters would you use to target business owners that you are trying to reach?
I love that question. So I guess my first question back to you would be, are you just trying to gain followers on your Facebook page, or are you trying to promote your products and sell vehicles?
Well, let's go with promote your product and sell vehicles, since we're all here to sell more trucks.
Sounds good. So in order to do that, so I would definitely recommend targeting by vocation, which you can absolutely do. Pick out the vehicles. Let's just use plumbers, for example, because they have very specific needs. So let's pick out the vehicles that are cargo vans, service utility vans, maybe even service bodies or pickup trucks. Let's take all four of those vehicles, one of each, and give them a very short, information at the top about, what you can do for them, or, hook them with something funny, like don't get snaked, with a horrible work vehicle, or, something along those lines. Just have fun with it. And then take that and build your audience based off of everything to do with plumbing. You can actually reach out to people with job titles of plumber, plumber technician, plumber assistant, all of those things. And then you can narrow it down even further to what they're interested in and what their demographics are. So let's just say you're in Northern California and you just want to advertise this to a 100-mile radius around you. You can pinpoint all the way down to that radius and exclude anyone else that's not in that radius. It can be so exact that you know that you're getting qualified traffic and traction from those ads.
Super. Thank you, Claudia. Any other questions from anybody? All right.
All right, and then I guess we will close the Q&A session. Thank you all so much. Those are such great questions. I'm really glad that we can interact so much on different topics like this. It's so much fun when we get to chit chat about things like that. So just a couple reminders: the recording will be emailed to you tomorrow. If you need any more information or would like any recommendations about social media, please shoot us an email, marketing@worktrucksolutions.com. Either myself or one of my teammates will get back to you with some information. Thank you so much, and keep your eyes out for next month's invite to the webinar. We look forward to seeing you, and don't forget, if you have a topic that you would like to submit, shoot that over to me in an email, and if we use it, you'll get an awesome free t-shirt. Thank you guys. Have a great rest of your week.